participating in this meeting and providing public comment, including remotely by Zoom or telephone, is on this meeting's agenda, which is online at isearchmonterey.org. Remote commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak, and a timer will be shown on the screen. If you are connected on Zoom, the timer is accurate with no delay. In the chamber, we recommend keeping phones and devices muted to prevent audio interference with the meeting. Thank you for participating in your city government.
Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and open up the consent agenda. Believe that the only thing we have on the consent agenda is the minutes from our previous meeting.
I move that we approve the consent agenda, including the minutes from a previous meeting.
Second.
Oh,
Okay, we have
can we first check if there's any public
comment? Yeah. Are there any members of the public that would like to discuss the minutes?
And there are no attendees online.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
I'm going to abstain. I was absent.
Okay. All righty. Motion carries. So at this point, we'll open up public comments for any items that are not on the agenda. If anyone would like to speak, please state your name first for the record. Seeing nobody. Do we have anyone online that wants to say anything?
No attendees online currently.
Okay. No one wants to comment on the election or anything like that. So we're just, okay. All right. With that, we'll move on to our first public appearance, which I believe is 398 Pine Street.
Thank you, Chair Polly and Commissioners. Okay, my name is Christy Sabdo. I'm Principal Planner with the City of Monterey. I'll be presenting 398 Pine Street. Architectural review permit application for a first and second story addition. So this project is located in the new Monterey neighborhood. It's currently a two-story residential building. It is in the R1 zoning district, and the general plan land use designation is low density residential. Just to share with you the location of the project, which is outlined in blue here, 398. It is also near the Presidio of Monterey, kind of at the end of Pine Street here. There is one house kind of in between the Presidio and this project site. As background, the property was removed from the new Monterey reconnaissance survey on February 4th, 2014, so it's not a historic property. Also, this project is before you because second story additions in the new Monterey neighborhood, which is a design review neighborhood, requires review by the Architectural Review Committee. Here's the existing site plan. Pine Street is located here on the south. There's a walkway kind of leading down to the back of the site. There's kind of a drop in slope here. Existing residence is up at the top of the project site, and then some sheds in the back. The proposed project is a 534 square foot addition, a 267 square foot first floor addition, and a 267 square foot second floor addition. Replacement and location of a 289 square foot second story balcony and stairs. Expansion of the rooftop deck from 49 square feet to 200 square feet. A new chimney, new exterior finishes, and a new first and second story. The first and second story addition will be enclosed with a partial new roof, and the rest of it would be an expanded rooftop balcony. The project also includes the retroactive approval of horizontal siding. So the last architectural review approval included vertical siding. And then I see that the residence has horizontal siding on it. When I visited the site, I couldn't track how that approval was made between the architectural review and how it was constructed with the horizontal siding. So this application includes that retroactive approval of the horizontal siding. The addition would be finished in horizontal siding. Here's the proposed site plan showing the main and lower floor addition at the rear of the residence. So it'd be a first and second story addition. So there is no second story addition on top of an existing second story. It's all new. And then the expansion of the deck here that you see in the crosshatch, and stairs here. And then there is an upper story deck, which I think it helps to see the rooftop or the roof plan, but it's going to be on top of this addition. So here is showing the rear elevation, the north elevation, existing and proposed. So the rooftop deck is going to be expanded. You can see over here on the proposed. The spiral staircase, the existing one is just getting moved over from kind of toward the center to the left side. New railing from wood to like a metal. I'll show you that as we move along. And then you'll see that the new addition will get like a partial roof over here, and the rest of it will be the railing and the rooftop deck. There'll be like a weatherproof finish on top. Here's the east side elevation, a couple new windows here showing the spiral staircase and the deck. The west elevation, no windows on this side, spiral staircase, and you can kind of see the rooftop deck up here and then the other deck. And then this is the south elevation, the front of the house, and you can see the new stairs going down on this side. Here's the proposed roof plan showing the expansion of the rooftop deck. You can see the spiral staircase. There would be a new waterproofed deck on top with the railings for the rooftop deck. And then there's an actual roof pitch here, a 712 roof pitch, which would match the existing roof pitch on the house. Here is the proposed roofing of the rooftop deck. It's weatherproof, and then the metal railings for both the first or the second story deck and the rooftop deck. Here's the story poles as shown. You can see the residence on the side. On this side, there are no windows, but on the opposite side, there are some windows, and that was the former daycare for the Presidio, but I don't know what the status of it is now. It might be a residence. The story poles were up 10 days, at least 10 days prior to the hearing, and more than that, actually. Notices to neighbors within 100 feet. We didn't receive any letters, so I don't think there's any concerns about privacy here. And there's, I did stand on that rooftop deck, and I don't see that there would be any impacts to views. So I'm going to go through the findings here. Finding 1, the proposed siding form, mass, and architectural style are appropriate and that they're of residential character. The siding form and massing will be similar to that of the existing residence. The addition is somewhat small, 534 square feet, first and second story addition, and would not substantially add to the massing of the home. The height of the addition would be 21 feet, 10.5 inches approximately, and would not increase the overall height of the home, which sits no higher than 25 feet. The architectural style would be consistent with that of the existing residence and would be appropriate in that it's of residential character. And it would complement the neighborhood and surrounding area. Finding 2, the proposed project will not unreasonably impair the views, privacy, or living environment currently enjoyed by properties in the vicinity. The addition would be located at the rear of the existing residence. And so if going through on the west elevation, which faces the residence at 899 Pine Street, there's no new windows. And there are windows located on the opposite side. Like I said, formerly a child care center, but now it might be a residence. So, but I didn't receive any letters of concern during the, when we sent out the notices, and, you know, the story poles have been up. In addition to the rooftop deck, no one has brought forth any concerns of privacy. So, let's see what we have here. Just showing, this is kind of showing the view on top of the rooftop deck looking west toward 899 Pine Street. So this is set back from their deck. So it's kind of a nice setback. So no privacy impacts are anticipated. And the bay views would not be impacted if you, the project would not involve an increase in height. So currently this house sits approximately 25 feet, and this would be just over 21 feet in height. So there should be no impact on bay views from adjacent properties or those sitting higher in elevation. Finding 3, the proposed project is substantially consistent with the Monterey General Plan as well as the new Monterey Area Plan. So policy, I'm going to try to go through this in a quick fashion here. Policy 1 encourages the preservation and maintenance of the single family character of Monterey. This project enhances a single family home. So it meets that. Program 2H states that the windows should be encouraged on the south exposure to capture sunlight in R1 areas. There's already windows on the south elevation. They're not proposing any new windows at that elevation. And then policy 3 states that the construction of additions to existing structures in R1 areas should not fully block views from existing developed lots, should be in scale with the existing built environment, and should save healthy trees and harmonize with the site topography. This project does just that. The proposed roofing would be consistent with that of the home. The addition is going to be less than the existing home. There's no proposed tree removals, and it meets that intent of that policy. The proposed exterior finishes of the addition would consist of new horizontal siding to match the existing residence, retroactive approval of that horizontal siding on the entire house, new double pane white vinyl mill guard windows to match the existing residence. The new partial roof addition would be finished with composition shingle to match the existing residence. And the second and first story wood railings would be removed and replaced with stainless steel cable railing system. The rooftop balcony floor roofing would be finished with the WeatherWare fire retardant system for weatherproofing balconies for that rooftop deck. The finishes are appropriate and that they complement the architectural style and our residential character. No new landscaping or tree removals are proposed. Staff recommends that the ARC adopt a resolution approving this application for the review of a first and second story addition, removal and replacement of a second story deck, expansion of the rooftop deck, new chimney, exterior finishes, and interior remodel of a single family residence at 398 Pine Street. Staff is available for questions, and the applicant is also here if you have any questions for them.
All right. Does anybody on the committee have any questions of staff? Seeing no questions, would the applicant like to make a presentation?
Good evening, members. My name is John Moore. I'm the applicant on the project. I think she did a great job. Thank you for presenting the project. Our main goal in this was just to get them a little bit more room. They already had a rooftop deck, and then also maintain the privacy of the neighbors. So that's why on the left side, facing the big 3-story house, we did continue out the hip roof instead of just wrapping the cable railing around. So that way, when the people are sitting up top, they're not going to be looking at the neighbors, and the neighbors aren't going to be looking at them. On the right side of the house, looking at it, there's probably a 12 or 14-foot big hedge where we do have one window in our kitchen area over there. and you can't even see the house on that side. So I think we've maintained the privacy from the neighbors in a complimentary way and got them a little more space that they desired. So if you guys have any questions, I'm available.
Thanks, John. All right, at this point, we'll open up the project for public comments. Is there anybody present that would like to make a comment on the project? Seeing nobody in the room, is there anybody online?
There are no attendees online.
All right, we'll open it up for committee comments. Pretty benign.
Very few
Project?
comments. Yeah, I mean, it's the only style change I saw in it was maybe just changing from to metal on the roof, but that seems understandable for longevity and things like that, and the scale of the deck. But you can see neighbors have done the same thing for good reason. So those would be the only things I noticed that kind of came to my attention. But it all seems quite reasonable and understandable to want those additions.
Seeing no further comments, would anyone like to make a motion?
Take a step at it. I move that we approve the architectural review permit application ARP -24-0152 for 398 Pine Street for preliminary and final architectural review of the first and second story addition. And do I need to mention the retroactive approval of the change to horizontal siding and approval of the retroactive approval for the horizontal siding that is installed?
All right, we have a motion from committee member Hunter. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, second from committee member Turgeon. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? All right, the motion carries unanimously.
And that is appealable to the planning commission within 10 days, with forms available online and in the planning office.
All right, thank you to staff. Thanks, John. Move on to our second presentation of the evening.
All right. Hello, ARC. My name is Fernanda Roveri, Principal Planner for the City of Monterey, and I will be presenting item number 4 on the agenda. Consider 1040 Roosevelt Street, application ARP 240195 for preliminary and final architectural review of the construction of a 2-car garage with underfloor storage area, and application ART 240196 for the removal of 2 trees at an existing single-family residence at 1040 Roosevelt. Staff's recommendation is that the ARC adopt a resolution approving the architectural review permit and the tree removal permit with conditions. This project is located in the Old Town neighborhood. It's a 5,600 square foot lot, and there's an existing 2-story house and detached carport with underfloor storage area on site. The zoning is R16, it's single-family zoning, and the general plan land use is low-density residential. The carport structure that is currently there is non-conforming in that it has a setback that is less than the required 20-foot front yard setback. The setback currently is 6 feet 5.5 inches. And the side setback is 5 feet required, but it's only 4 feet from the east side property line. And the height of accessory structures in the R1 district is 12 feet, but the carport's height is 16.9 feet. And I should point out that Roosevelt Street is roughly 10 feet higher than the front entrance of the existing house. And so if you look at this survey, the elevation on Roosevelt Street that was taken is at 258 feet above sea level, I assume. And then at the elevation at the house, which is these wood steps here are the front of the house, it's 248.29 feet. And so that's a roughly 10-foot difference. So the site slopes considerably downhill toward the house. The applicant applied for a variance to accommodate a new garage in the place of the carport. And these are the requests that they made. So the front setback would stay the same. The variance was approved for the front of the garage to be at the same distance as the current carport is to the front property line. The east side setback, the existing condition is 4 feet. The requirement is 5, but the planning commission approved a 4-foot setback, the same as the existing carport. The building separation is, the existing condition is that the carport is 11 feet, 5.5 inches away from the house. The requirement is 10 feet, but the planning commission approved a 7-foot, 4-inch building separation from the proposed garage to the existing house. The height, the existing condition is 16.9 feet. The requirement is 12, but the planning commission approved the variance of 23 feet, 11.5 inches as the maximum height for the proposed garage. This is to show the existing versus proposed site plan that the applicant submitted. You can see here on the left is the existing carport. The front setback is 6 feet, 5.5 inches. The separation to the house is 11 feet, 5.5 inches. And the 4-foot setback to the east side is right here. And the proposal is to, again, keep that same setback, front setback, keep the same side setback, get closer to the house, and to remove a tree. It's a 8-inch oak tree, which would be very close to the new 2-car garage. This is the oak tree. It's growing out of, like, very close to an existing retaining wall. And it probably has its roots compromised already. And the other tree, let me show you. Okay, it's not shown here, but there was another tree that the applicant was proposing to remove. And it was further west, so it's not shown here. But that tree was not a part of this development application. So that tree, the city forester approved its removal because the tree was in declining health. It was an 18-inch pine tree. And the forester required a replacement tree for that, a 5-gallon replacement tree anywhere on site. And this is a view from the north and south. So this is the existing carport with the underfloor storage area. You can see the window is the storage area. The south view is from Roosevelt Street. So this is what you see if you're on Roosevelt. And then the proposal is for the north elevation, which is the elevation from the, as seen from the house. It would have that underfloor storage area and a window, and then the garage on top. And they're proposing windows on it. Because it's proposed to be a 2-car garage, it would be about 21 feet wide, whereas the existing carport only fits 1 car. And the goal of this is for the owners to achieve 2 parking spaces on their property. The south view is again from Roosevelt Street, and from the street, it would look like a 1-story garage. This is the view east and west. So this is existing, the carport again, and then the underfloor storage area. You can see the slope on the left would be Roosevelt Street, and it slopes down toward the house. On the west side, it slopes up to Roosevelt Street. And so the applicant would be cutting and filling the site so that there's a flat area for the second car to be able to park. And in the proposed, the east again shows the underfloor storage area and garage on top. And then on the west, it shows that flattened area where there would be fill to allow that garage to be to fit 2 cars. This is a photo of the orange netting that the applicant had to install to show the massing of the garage. And so you can see that the garage would be taller than the existing carport. And the applicant proposed a shed roof style on the garage. So you can see here is the shed style roof. It would slope. So again, it would look like a 1-story garage from Roosevelt, and the shed roof would slope up toward the house, toward the back of the property. The neighbor at 1030 Roosevelt Street, which is the east side neighbor, submitted a letter with concerns for the project. She submitted a letter at the Planning Commission hearing and at a few days before today's meeting. The concern was the height of the back wall here and the shed roof. She requested a different roof type to decrease the height. And I included her letter to the Planning Commission in the agenda packet, and her comment to the ARC was uploaded to our submitted comments website. But this is a photo from her comments that I pasted here. This is as viewed from her driveway. And I'll go through the findings. So in order for the ARC to approve the architectural review permit, it must make 4 findings: that the siding, form, mass, and architectural style are appropriate. The siding is appropriate in that the topography poses a challenge to this site. The siding was also reviewed by the Planning Commission. And the Planning Commission found that the siding was adequate in order to keep the garage at the same distance from the east property line. So keep those 4 feet of setback there, so that to minimize the grading that would need to happen in order to make a flat area for the 2-car garage. And as conditioned, the form and mass are appropriate. Because there's a condition, a proposed condition in the resolution that would require the roof to be a different roof type to decrease that massing as seen from the 1030 Roosevelt neighbor side. So as conditioned, the form and mass would be appropriate in that it would appear to be a single-story garage from Roosevelt Street. And the architectural style is appropriate because it would match that of the existing single-family dwelling. The second finding is that the proposed project will not unreasonably impair the view's privacy or living environment. And the east side neighbor did express concern, and so as conditioned, the garage, the height of the garage would be reduced by proposing a different roof style, like a hip or a gable roof. The third finding is that the proposal is substantially consistent with the Monterey General Plan as well as all applicable land use documents. It's consistent with the general plan in that the 2-car garage and underfloor storage area would serve the existing home. It would be consistent with the general plan land use designation of a single-family dwelling. It's substantially consistent with the Old Town area plan in that it would look like a 1-story garage from Roosevelt Street. And the 2-car garage would bring the property closer to conformance with the zoning ordinance, which requires 2 off-street parking spaces. The fourth finding is that the proposed finishes are compatible and appropriate with the site and city. And the light brown wood shingle siding and light gray composition roof shingles would be appropriate in that they would match the existing home, and they are materials and colors that are used in general in single family construction. The tree permit finding, this is the only finding that needs to be made to allow removal of a tree. That the tree prevents reasonable development of permitted uses. And when making this finding, the ARC should consider existing development on similar sites and similar zoning districts having similar topographic and vegetation characteristics. And so this, again, the topographic constraints of the site limit the siding choices of the garage. And so the removal of the 8-inch diameter oak tree would be warranted in order to allow development of a 2-car garage, which is a permitted use in the single family zone. Also, the applicant submitted an arborist report that says that the oak tree develops with a suppressed lean within a raised bed and concrete covering the roots. And so the tree cannot develop properly into its full potential. The arborist recommended removing the oak tree based on its condition and that it would be in the footprint of the garage. And a condition is proposed in the resolution to require 1 5-gallon coast live oak tree to be planted on the property to replace the oak tree. With that, staff recommends approval with the conditions. I'm available for questions, and the applicant is here as well.
Just have a quick question. I always get confused when something goes to the planning commission and comes back to us. But why is that again?
So the planning commission approved the variances, the setback, building separation and height variances, because those deviate from the zoning standards. And then the ARC's job is to approve development that is harmonious with its surroundings. And so within the parameters that the planning commission set for you, your job is to look at the design and make sure that it meets those 4 findings that I went through.
So yeah, just to follow up on that, it's just a matter of purview. So so the planning commission, as Fernando just stated, their purview is to review variances to the zoning ordinance, but they're limited in that purview to making the findings strictly for the variance findings and not wade into the design, as that's the purview of the ARC. So they established a building envelope, so to speak.
And if you could go back to your slide that had I believe it was the conditions of approval from the planning commission. Is that correct? Did I see something that said they wanted the roof form changed or they were okay with the roof form?
They
It was
did
when
not-
you had like the little paragraphs, not
Oh.
the data table. Later in the presentation. There. The form and mass are appropriate. Okay.
So they're just excerpts of the findings prepared for this committee.
Okay.
They're not necessarily conditions of approval from the planning commission.
Okay. So there were, okay.
Well, one condition was to change it from shed style.
Yeah, that's what I thought I heard, that there was a condition to
That-
change
that
the
was-
roof.
That was
Oh,
recommended.
that was a staff recommended condition because of the neighbor's concern.
That's your recommendation to our
Yes.
deliberation. Okay, I got you. I got a little confused there.
And I see there's one tree replacement. Can you just explain that a little bit, since there's 2 trees being removed? Usually it's 1-to-1.
Yes, so the city forester approved the removal of the 18-inch pine tree, 18-inch diameter pine tree, because we're not, so the ARC and planning staff are not allowed to approve tree removals that are not related to development. So since that pine tree was not related to the development, it went through a separate approval process through the city forestry division. And the city forester determined that a 5-gallon replacement tree was needed for that pine tree. And separate from that, today before you is a tree removal permit for the 8-inch oak tree, because it is in the footprint of the development. And the recommended condition is that the applicant plant a replacement tree for the oak tree.
So there is actually 2, but 1 is just not in our review today.
Right.
Okay, got
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
Any further staff questions? Or, I'm sorry, questions of staff?
I guess I did see one plan drawing there that looked like it had some staging area generally sort of located, because with there's cut and fill, there's going to be a lot of fill placed somewhere and other things. I guess I'm starting to lean towards not a question, but let's I assume somebody's reviewed that, the arborist have reviewed that staging as well. Typically, I know they have their standards, but I couldn't tell if that staging looked like it fit within those standards or not.
So the construction staging is reviewed at the building permit stage. It's not something that would be a submittal requirement at this stage. But no, the arborist did not review a staging plan.
Okay, thank you.
Right, seeing no further questions from the committee, would the applicant like to make a presentation?
Hi, I'm Bill Mefford. I'm the architect on the project. the owners, like it's been said, want to have to be able to park their two vehicles on site. Currently, the current carport sits about 2.5 feet below the level of the curb, the street. So they can't actually get into their carport. So we're actually raising the level of the floor level of the garage, which is part of the reason why for the height that we are asking for. And then the current carport also is only about 18 feet deep. And so that they can put one of their vehicles is a truck, and they want to be able to park their truck in the garage. So that's why we're moving the back of the garage closer to the house. We feel the design that we've created matches the look of the house. And we're as far as the different roof style, we are open to actually doing a gable roof, which runs parallel with the house, with the street. And I do have some drawings of it here if you'd like to take a look at it. I only made 5 copies, but sorry about that. Anyway, that's pretty much so it. Fernanda did a great job explaining it. And like she said, oh, okay. Like she said, the 18-inch pine tree was outside of the development footprint, so we did get approval to remove that. So all we're asking for is the 8-inch oak tree. Any questions? Does it not fit? There, that's the side view.
So it looks like the roof is a little bit lower.
It is.
Change it to that
It's
style.
roughly 2 feet lower.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So it doesn't go up to the peak of the shed that it was. It's now a gable.
Okay, well, while we're working with our technology there, thank you for your presentation. Is there any other members of the public that would like to make a comment?
There are still no attendees online.
Okay. Hearing no additional public comments, we'll close public comments and we'll open it up to the committee for comments.
Well, I think the new roof design is a nice compromise.
Yeah, that obviously does a lot for the neighbor, which makes a lot of sense. I was at first concerned maybe they had reason for said style, but if you're offering that compromise, that seems to solve that. And all the other things again seem pretty reasonable. Agree with the inspection of the tree and those other assumptions as well. So it seems fairly handsome fitting design, and hopefully neighbors enjoy the change as well as the residents.
Yeah, it was I mean, the original shed roof is a cool form. And I think long term it would have allowed you a little storage loft in there, and maybe that was your plan. To do something with that space. I was a little confused with it when I went out and looked at it. It was just sort of like, wow, it seemed to actually block your own view. You have windows on the front of your house that was like right up against, and so I think it's actually better for the main house to have a lower roof. Obviously no future loft in the redesigned roof, and I think it appeases the clients or the neighbors' concern. So I appreciate you bringing those drawings in and to show us. One thing I just note to staff, I noticed that in the beginning of the presentation, you noted the main house as being 10 feet below the street. It looks like based on the survey, it's only about 4 feet. And the only reason I was looking at that was because I looked at it in the field. And I thought, wow, it didn't feel like it was 10 feet. But I think if you look at the survey, that main house is only about 4 feet below the street, about the same amount as the garage.
Depending on where they roof or where were you?
It was the floor level. Floor level. Oh, yeah, it was the floor level. But other than that, I think, appreciate the revision.
Agreed.
Anyone like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make an emotion to approve application ARP -24-0195 for construction of the two-car garage with underfloor storage area, and also the tree removal permit number ART-24-0196.
Do we need to add something in that motion to the effect that we're accepting the revision that was presented in the?
With conditions, with staff, conditions for approval.
Okay.
With staff conditions, I don't know. Yeah, as presented. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, with staff conditions as presented.
Right, we have a motion from committee member Palmer. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We'll give the second to committee member Ostervar. I think it was a tie, but all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, the motion carries.
And that is appealable to the planning commission within 10 days with forms available online and in the planning office.
All right, so we'll go ahead and open up for any, or no, are there any informal staff reports?
Let's see. A follow-up from the October 15th, 2024 City Council meeting was that we adopted a affordable housing and property disposition agreement and ground lease for the Mid-Penn housing project behind City Hall. So we're moving forward with that, and looks like we'll be receiving a design package pretty soon for that project that the planning division will be reviewing. And the tentative agenda for next ARC meeting for November 20th is 400 Cannery Row landscaping. 400 Cannery Row is a VAF property, and so any alteration to it requires ARC review. And for the past reporting period, we had 7 ARP approvals, so 7 architectural review permits approved by staff and 2 signed permits approved by staff. And I have a list of them if you're interested in knowing what they are. But this is also a good time to tell you all that it's within your purview to decide which projects you want to come before you and which projects you want staff to take care of at our level. And so, we can present this to you at a later meeting if you'd like to understand more, or if you'd like to change the type of projects that come before you. If you'd like to see more, if you'd like to see less, I can make that a presentation at our next meeting if you're interested.
Yes,
I think
please.
it's, yeah, I've always somewhat felt that the more signs we can get in staff's hands, the better.
Unfortunately, the ones you guys look at are always typically VAF signs.
Yeah.
And again, we won't be able to take that on because that's out of the charter. But yes, to that point, we want you guys to be looking at the projects you guys want to be looking at.
Yeah.
So yeah, that we can agendize that and kind of, as Fernanda mentioned, give you a little bit more of a comprehensive look at what we are approving at the
Okay.
staff level, and that way you're aware of that. And then if you want to expand that or restrict that more, then we can discuss
That'd be
that.
great.
It's been a few years since it's been revisited, and I don't think most of this committee was on the committee the last time that it was revisited, so it seemed time.
Okay.
And as Spencer mentioned, our Christy Sabdo was promoted to principal planner.
Wow.
Who's
And
this?
Christy
Oh, really?
Sabdo was
Disappeared.
presented the first project. She was promoted to principal planner and well deserved. And I can let Levi talk about it more, but we are looking to hire more planners to help us implement our newly adopted housing element. So that's probably coming soon.
Yes. So as Fernanda mentioned, we're very excited to see Christy continue to grow within the department. And with that, creates an additional vacancy at the associate planner level. So we are looking at opening recruitment for assistant and associate level positions moving into the end of this year. So we're excited to be growing.
Great. Well, congratulations to Ms. Sabdo.
Additional workload.
Yeah.
Congratulations on successfully implementing the housing element.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll continue until the round breaks.
And we're very excited to have the DDA with the Mid-Penn project.
Big
Out
milestone.
back. That's a
So
big
we're
milestone.
Very,
It's,
very big milestone.
very exciting. All right. So with that, we'll adjourn the meeting. Great.